Hello again. This is the third video in my series of my shelter reviews for all four of my ultralight shelters. I'm here in my Moon Designs Skyskape X Cuben fiber hybrid tent. Now, this is the older model, and again, link in the description below to check out all the specs, and I talk about, the history a bit. I got this used several years ago, and so several of my critiques of the shelter have already been fixed by, the manufacturer. But yeah, I'm very happy with this tent. It serves a very good purpose in my quiver of shelters, and let's take a look at it. Now, I'm laying down, and I'll start up top. There is a good amount of headroom here. However, because it comes to a point, while it's nice I can store like my gear up here, I can put like a flashlight or my phone or whatever up here. I have noticed if it's windy or if I pitch it in like a less than ideal location, if it's not a completely flat. I found a pretty flat spot to pitch it. I'm on another day hike in some woods near my house. If wind gets up under here, I'm gonna get, kind of, if I can grab this here. Well, you get the idea. There we go. If my head will get kind of buffeted by the bathtub floor or the netting. It gets kind of tight in here. I mentioned on my blog that I feel like I'm pushing the limits of this, the size wise, as far as this tent goes. In fact, I think it would be good if this tent were to come in like a large version for people that are tall or bigger. But that being said, again, this nitpicking, it does the job well. And if you've not been following my videos, once again, I'm about 6 foot tall, 183 centimeters. Okay, but and you can see here the net's kind of a little floppy, but anyway, let's get to the big plus. This is one of the high, no pun intended, the high points of this shelter is that the headspace. As you can see, there's plenty of headspace here. You can sit up and do what you got to do. While I do think it is kind of cramped for a person of my size, the headspace is nice, especially too, and I've had to do this on several occasions where it's pouring rain outside. I got to get all my gear inside, everything inside, blow up my air pad inside, and kind of maneuver, and it's a bit tricky. I would have liked a little bit more room, but again, it's workable. Now, let me turn the camera around so you can see the feet situation. Now, let me lay down again so you can kind of see what I'm talking about. Okay, now it looks good here. It looks like, oh, I have some room here, but again, it's perfectly flat. I have the optional guideline pulled up. Also, I'm not on a sleeping pad, and I don't have my sleeping bag on me. With my sleeping bag and with my bag, it often, not always, but often will rub on the end here. I pitched it pretty tight for this review, so you could see it pitched optimally. Oh, and I guess I didn't say, before I forget, let me say how long it took me. It takes me a little longer to pitch this shelter, and that has a lot to do with the poles, the placement of the poles, but because they're on the inside. If you see up here, you have to kind of put the one pole through the sleeve up there, and then put the two poles inside and fidget around with them. But anyway, it took me 8 minutes and 30 seconds, and in fairness though, that does also include stuff sacks as usual, but also I put the ground sheet under. I usually put the ground sheet under before I pitch it, and also tightening of the guy lines. So that's not too bad. But anyway, yeah, with the sleeping bag and with sleeping mat, I very often will, and this is more ideal conditions. There's been times when this is quite low, and my feet often will rub up against the wall there. But okay, let's go outside. I've been inside for a while, but I guess a shelter like this that has a lot, well, more room inside, I should say. This is the big perk of this. And also, once you get this tent up, you don't have to worry about setting up another, like a bivvy or a net tent. It's an all-in-one package, which is great. But there's of course pros and cons to both. A modular system has its pros. I cannot really use this inside of a trail shelter, so if you're going on a trip and there's a lot of trail shelters, it's not the the 100% best option in my opinion. But and I guess you could if you really worked up, but that would be a lot of work to set this up inside a trail shelter. It would be, I think, not worth it. But yeah, let's go outside and check it out. And before I get out there, let's check out the vestibule. This is just my day pack, and as you can see, it's this is pretty tight. The vestibule is pretty small. My shoes, there's a little bit of space in here, sure, but I think if you were to rain heavy, my bag would get wet. I would have to like drag it in a bit. So shoes and your pack, and it should probably, you know, be a smaller pack, and that's about it. I guess you could in theory use the other vestibule, you know, but in this older model there's no way to access it because it's there's no door in here. But okay, let's get out of here and check it out how it looks on the outside. Alright, I'm gonna have to put the camera down again, so bear with me as usual. Here we are. You can see here the Cuben door here. There's a Velcro strap here to close it off even further. Yeah, but let me get out. The zippers on this shelter definitely take two hands to open and close. Okay, now here we are. So here it is, Moon Designs Skyskape X, older model. It's a decent shelter. Very, very happy with it. And you'll see that's the optional guideline there. You could set it up with 5 stakes. I choose to set it up with 6 stakes. I'll go around the other side. Well, I should have pointed out on the inside there is a small pocket in there too. Yeah, that's not that big of a detail. There's the other side. As I mentioned before, the door, I nearly always keep this door closed, even in nice weather, because I could just, if the weather's nice, I could just go sit outside. But yeah, here's the Velcro strap here, and it's got a nice little storm flap to protect the zipper, and I just keep that closed most of the time. Okay, of course an airplane has to fly by right in the middle of my video, but that is my review. As I said before, check out my blog for lots more information and a comparison to my other shelters, as well as, you know, lots and lots of different weights, weights including just the, you know, the weight of the shelter, the tent itself, then of course another weight total with like all the extras, which would be the ground cover, poles, stakes. That will of course change the weight significantly, you know, from person to person. Alright, thanks for watching, hope this was helpful. Take care.